Hi, my name is Ella Grace. I was born in Zimbabwe and I came to UK in 2005. Zimbabwe went through sanctions and embargoes because our president was being evil. There's a lot more to the story. So that was early 2000s. So we used to have like shops. There was nothing in the shops. You go to a shop, there's no sugar on the shelves, there's no cooking oil, not even salt. That's how bad things were. And there was no money in the banks. So even people who had saved money, you would go to the bank and say, I want to take my money, like you would do in a normal economy. But the banks didn't have money. Like there was no cash in the bank. So we had queues everywhere. We had to wake up like at 4 a.m. to go and sit outside the bank. But then the bank is also waiting for the shops to bring money, and it was just chaos. It was bad. So there was queues for everything. I even remember a time where you used to go into the town and you just join a queue when you don't even know what it's about. Of course, you don't know if it's for sugar, if it's for money, whatever. I don't know. So things were bad. And bread used to cost like $1,000. That's how bad the economy had become. So it was a good time. Most young people in Zimbabwe left. We had to leave because even the jobs were people were losing jobs. And even if you worked a job, last month you were getting paid $1,000. But that doesn't buy anything now. It's only now for bread. So things were like the economy was just tumbling down very fast. So that was the time in 2005. My sister would come before me. She invited me to come to UK. So I came to UK. And once I came here, back in Zimbabwe, actually, before I came here, I used to work for the Ministry of Home Affairs, which I think in UK is called Home Office. So I sort of cushioned. It was an okay job, not the best, but it was okay. And I enjoyed my job. I loved it. But then I had to migrate and come to UK, and things got bad. That was my experience. Some people come, like some people migrate and things work out great. There's no issues, but for me, it was bad. I came to UK. Of course, I was looking for a better life, better economy. Like I said, Zimbabwe was bad. So even the hospitals, there was no paracetamol. You go to the hospital and they'll tell you, we have absolutely nothing. So you have to find, some hospital didn't even have running water. Go and find your own water, which is crazy because if you're sick, how am I going to carry this water, right? So people, there was not even survival. There was no survival, so we had to leave. Myself, I was looking, of course, for a better life. I wanted to back then I was young enough, wanting to go to university. So I thought I'll go to UK and I'll be able to go to university. I didn't even think about the international fees side of it. So, it was just a dream, really a fantasy. So once I got to UK, my sister and her husband had bought me the plane ticket and the visas. They've done everything for me. So the husband wanted his money straight away, which was very strange. Of course, I didn't have the money. So he wanted his money. So I had to work any job I could get. So I started working as a housekeeper. So I was working in hotels, cleaning rooms and things like that, which I didn't like because I was like, no, I'm better than this. It was still pride, right? You still have your ego. But I did what I had to do. So I had to work and then gave him his money and all that stuff. So then we had to leave, the three of us, which was also not a good thing. But then I could not afford to move out because I'm doing this job, like I'm saying, housekeeping, and because it comes with the seasons. So sometimes we work 20 hours this week, 25. It's not a stable job. So I worked that job for a little while, and then I had to go and start working in care. So I started working as a carer. Then I worked, and then my sister's, now he's an ex-husband. He was like, oh, you have to move out, which I understand. So I had to move out. But it was not paying well either. So I ended up living in this, oh God, it was a bad house. I don't even know if I can call it. I think that landlord was doing something illegal. I just cannot prove it. So he had like 10 tenants in this building. All of us were migrants. Some of them were from Europe, and a few of us were from Africa. There was only like one kitchen or something. And you just put your food in there. I don't know. It was a mess. The whole house was a mess. I think it was a slum. He was a slumlord, to be fair, because I moved there. So I moved in this little room. There was not even a wardrobe. There was only a room for a single bed, and I think like a little bedside cabinet, like one, so I could sit there. That's where I could put like my suitcase, my monarch, whatever, my luggage. So I could put it there, and there was no room for anything else. So I would just go in there when you have to sleep, and I had to go to work. But that was just the beginning of my problems, actually. So I was staying there, which also strained my relationship with my sister, because I think I could not forgive her because I'm staying in this room now, which was not her fault, of course. But I'm staying in this room now, and I'm not happy. So I'm working this job, and then they said your visa is about to finish, so you need to renew your visa. So I try now. I'm trying to renew the visa, and that was hard because Zimbabwe is still doing, well, it's not Zimbabwe, but the leaders are still doing their nonsense. But it's usually the average person who suffers. So there was a lot of problems with Zimbabwe at that time. And so I thought, well, how am I going to get this visa? How am I going to renew it? I didn't know how to do that. So I just tried. I just posted like, okay, I'm going to renew. I'm going to do this thing. And unfortunately, it was rejected. So now I'm an illegal in a country, and I cannot go back either because my country is still bad. Zimbabwe's economy is still tumbling down. Even then, I think the bread had got to, I don't know, ridiculous numbers for a loaf of bread. And my family's like, well, you can come back, but there's nothing. You can try, but it's going to be bad for you. So I didn't know what to do. I absolutely had no idea. What do you do in that situation? You have nowhere to go and you can't stay. So what am I supposed to do? So I stayed, and then I said, well, I'll go and talk to the Home Office people, which very brave, but well. So I went, back then I used to live in Liverpool. I would go to the migration, and they said, well, because your visa was denied, you have to find a way to stay. So you have to reapply, or we don't know, but you have to reapply. So I reapplied for another visa. And they said you can use, they used to have those lawyers, I don't know what they're called now, where you can go. They're sort of free lawyers, and you can go and ask for advice, and they can help you with your application. So I did that. But unfortunately, I just sent it, and there was radio silence. There was no reply for years. And they'd taken my passport. So UK Home Office takes my passport. And now I actually can't leave, even if I wanted to. So I had to stay waiting for the reply, which didn't come, I think, until after like 3 years or something. So at all that time, you can work with the letter that they give you that says we are processing this person's visa and all that stuff. But life was not easy at that time because it also means you cannot leave the job. And if you want to go to school, you can't go to university with that letter. Not really. So it was a hard part of my migration story. And I didn't know what to do. And the passport, like I'm saying, they hold it. And At that time, they were also saying you have to come and report every week at Liverpool Home Office so we can see that you're still here. If you don't, we can detain you, which was also not a good ideal for me. I didn't want that. So we had to go every week and report. But it just got me to thinking, like, it's not easy being a migrant. And I think most of us, given the opportunity or given as an idea of saying, okay, do you want to stay in your country or do you want to go? I think most of us will say, I'll stay where I am. But sometimes life happens, right? So you have to move. And that was my story. So I stayed and uh, like I'm saying, I had to deal with slumlords. I had to deal with, my relationship with my sister sort of falling apart really for a while there. And I blamed her because I was like, why did you bring me here? Which to her, she said, well, I was trying to do something good because things are not good back home. But I also blamed her because I'm like, I had my good job. I was doing just fine, which anyway. But that's what happened. That was my story. But it's just, now I'm still in UK. It worked out in the end, but it was a hard part of it. There was a hard middle there. So it's just something to be careful with. If you're traveling, if you're migrating, it doesn't have to be UK, it can be anywhere, but you just have to know that you might be dealing with the visa issues, maybe dealing with, and immigration rules are changing very fast these days. So when they could say 5 years, you can become a permanent resident. Maybe you get there, then they say 10 years now or whatever. So you have to also keep it on top of things where you know what's happening. What are the changes? What are they saying about your situation so that you are not taken by surprise? And if you can plan ahead before your visa, finishes or ends, then you sort of always be on top of things and everything will work out. And hopefully most people will have better luck than I did. So good luck.